All right, guys, what's going on?
Hey.
Welcome to the Coffee with Friends podcast, episode number
9?
Number 9.
Let's go.
We're out here, guys. Let's get it.
Number 9.
10 is on the way. I don't know what we're going to do for number 10, truthfully. I don't even know if we have any plans.
It's not going to be no fireworks, that's for sure.
I don't know what we're going to do for number 10, but
Me neither.
we're glad to be here, and we're glad that you're here.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, and we're glad that you guys are here with us, watching and listening on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, anywhere and everywhere you consume podcast content.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Super thankful as usual just for all of you guys. We're going to be jumping in on the episode today, straight into it, because I think it's a great conversation. It's a deep conversation. And it's one that I want us to really, really pursue.
Okay.
And it is purpose and calling. The two words that I feel like sum up the human existence, the questions that we ask ourselves from the moment we're born.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not when you're born. Probably when you're born, you don't really think about any existential questions. You probably just think about what you're going to eat and where you're going to poop. So probably not when you're born, but when you're young. I think as soon as you have the ability to dream, to imagine, to desire, the question of what is your purpose? Why are we here?
Yeah.
And then if you manage to find the answer to that, congratulations, because then there's another question that usually comes right after, and that's, what do I do with that information?
Yeah.
What's my calling? What do I do in my life?
Yeah.
So we're going to be answering that, kind of talking through that a little bit, and kind of like talking through, is purpose and calling, are they the same? Are they different? How do they connect? All that stuff. So we're going to just go right into it, guys.
Yeah.
Purpose and calling. I want to, of course, throw the question and baton to you.
You always throw it to me first. That's
Maybe
not
one
fair.
day you'll throw it to me.
You know what? Let's switch it up. You go first.
All right. Go ahead. Do you know what the question is, though?
No. You ask yourself the question.
What is purpose and what is calling? Are they different, and how so? Just want to preface, as usual, we are not experts. You don't have to take what we're saying, and it's not gospel. It's not maybe it's not the right answer. We're just sharing off of our experience and opinions. Sure. In my opinion, based on my life experience, what I've seen with people, talked with people, read in the Word, seen in my life, purpose and calling are two very different things. Mm-hmm. I believe your purpose is one thing, and I believe your calling is the kind of like physical manifestation of what your purpose is within the specific context of your life, the uniqueness of your life. I think that that's how they're different. I think they're the same in the sense that they kind of go hand in hand. I believe, again, I'm not going to speak in absolutes here, but I do believe that once you know your purpose, your calling comes easier.
Sure.
I'm not going to say that you need to know your purpose to know your calling, but I do believe that having your purpose, knowing who you are and why you're here, helps then kind of like figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
And again, that's what I believe calling is. Purpose, in my opinion, I really believe that purpose is why we are here, not what we're here to do. Again, I think we interchange those things a lot. I think that we think our purpose is an action, and I think that's a state of being. Yeah. And I believe our calling is an action. Mm-hmm. I believe the calling is the purpose in verb, in action, and I believe the purpose is who you are. It's the noun part, and I believe that for me, purpose is just we're here to do two things. It is to delight in God, and for Him to delight in us, and for us to delight in people, and for people to delight in us. It is the whole love God, love people. I think that is our purpose. Again, whether you subscribe to the Bible or not, I believe that that's kind of the whole golden rule as well.
Yeah.
Like treating people how you want to be treated. At the end of the day, I think our purpose is to be connected to a higher power, to be connected to God, to be connected to our Creator, and
Yeah.
in that connect with others.
Yeah.
I think that's our purpose.
Yeah.
Simply put, I think all of us have that purpose. I think that's why we always ask ourselves, like, why are we here? And I think that
Yeah.
why are we here is our attempt and connection to find our Creator and find, our Father.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, again, I'm not trying to go too
Yeah.
deep into that yet. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but in my opinion, that's what it is.
Cool.
What do you think?
I mean, same. Retweet.
In your own words, though,
In my own words, I think it's the same. I think purpose is, purpose is our overall, like, we're here, yes, to delight in the Lord and do all of those. And we're here, for me, like, purpose is like I was made for the joy of the Lord and like to worship in whatever state of my life I'm in, whether it's musically, creatively, loving you, being a good wife.
Yeah.
And then, calling is like what I am meant to do, like the things I am meant to do.
Yeah.
The verb.
Yeah.
The verb is a good way to put it. And purpose being what you are.
Yeah.
Is how I would put it. Like, your purpose here is like what you were made for, and the calling is how do you execute that.
Yes, exactly. I love how you put it.
That's how I would put it.
Yeah, it's how we execute it. I think that, again, and this is very just like foundational, like as simple as possible. I think that is like the grassroots of purpose is that, and calling is that.
Yeah.
When we get into the nitty gritty, it changes. And that's where, again, the uniqueness and the context of your life comes into play, because you said it right now. You believe your purpose is, again, it's to bring joy to the Lord and to worship. Again, that is a facet of her purpose. And then that's where you're getting into the uniqueness of it, of how you are wired. And I think that that's also a big part, is that our purpose is already wired into us.
Sure.
I think it's already downloaded into us. And I think as we grow up, the whole, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Is us trying to decode that.
Yeah.
And trying to, like, find, like, what is that hardwiring? What is that operating system that we all carry that is so unique? Again, I think at the end of the day, it's all what?
I was going to say something dumb.
Say it.
You said not I hardwired, something else.
The
Like your
operating
operating system?
Yeah.
I was like Mac OS Sonoma 14.2.
Yes, or El Crapitan. Everyone hated El Capitan. That was so bad.
I'm not that invested.
But yeah, I mean, it's, we all have a specific operating system that makes us unique to who we are, but the binary code of it is all the same. And I think it goes down to, again, it's our whole purpose is to go back to God. It's again, whatever you subscribe to, again, we really firmly believe that the only way you can really achieve knowing your purpose is you have to go to the one that designed you in the first place. We really believe in an intelligent design. And
for sure.
Again, like, you have to go to the designer. And once you go to the designer and see what his intention was for you, then your intention for yourself comes alive, and you'll find out that they're actually very similar, because the dreams that you have, the desires that you have, I firmly believe come from God. I believe that they aren't things that you just kind of come up with and just say, oh, I want to do this with my life. If it's, for example, like, I want to be a doctor, I want to help people, I want to help people heal. Like, that is God's will. He wants people to be healthy. He wants people to heal, and he wants to use you through that. So again, it's like the dreams that you have. Oh, I want to be a musical artist, or a painter, or a speaker, or I want to design. I want to be an architect. I want to create spaces for people. Whatever you want, whatever you call it, whatever, again, resonates with you. I really believe that God put that for a reason. And I think that that's the beauty of how everyone's calling is unique. But again, the purpose, I believe, is very foundational. and it's all one and the same. That being said, I want to ask you, we kind of just set the groundwork here, but I want to ask you, when did you find your purpose? Or, of course, if you haven't, right? But if you have found your purpose, which you kind of were talking about it, when did that happen? Like, what was the point where it clicked and you were like, okay, I know this is my purpose?
It's a hard question.
It is. It is.
Dang. When I figured out my purpose, when I feel like I found my purpose, probably I was like 17 years old. I was fighting for my life, trying to finish high school, start college. Things felt tumultuous, confusing. I was battling a lot of mental health things, and I feel like I had done a lot of things and I was good at a lot of things. And I still feel that way now, but I didn't know which direction I wanted to go in trying to even just figure out what life looked like after high school. And I think like that's when I really sat with myself and was like, okay, like I can go many different ways, but where does God want me to go? That's also when I really started like my true like faith journey.
Yeah.
And so I guess like long story short, it was like when I really fully devoted myself to God and was like, here I am, whatever you want. This is what I'll do, however you want me to do it. But I know that I'm here for you. I know that I'm here to do whatever you want me to do. To whatever that looked like, I think. And then just kind of like fully devoting it all to him and deciding that no matter my circumstance, no matter emotion, no matter anything, I was to be with him. And that to me is like that I'm here to be with him.
I love that you said that it started with your faith journey. I would say mine was similar, but I would say that I think I always kind of knew deep down.
Sure.
I had an inkling. I think a lot of us always have like
an
that.
inkling.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
I feel like we all kind of have like that. There's just something that just draws us. There's something that makes us come alive. There's something that just pulls us in. But I didn't really have language for it or know what it was until I agree. I think I wouldn't even say when I started my faith journey. I would say when I hit like the climax, like the fork in the road moment where I was like, okay, is this really what I believe? Is this really what I'm about? When it became my own. Because again, I don't know those of you who are watching, listening, who have had this similar experience, but I feel like, again, I think we all have like a moment where we say, okay, are we really about this or not? When that faith of your parents is no longer your parents' faith. The faith of your community, like it's your,
for
like,
sure.
If it is this what I want?
Yeah.
And we can get into that on another episode talking about that right now, what's happening in our culture.
Yeah.
But I think it was in that moment when I decided, okay, am I really going to be about this?
Yeah.
For me, it was a very like, kind of like, I don't want to say it like that, but it was a very like stereotypical, like at youth camp type deal. And it was like, it was a God moment, like, what common that I think a lot of us have. But it was like, it was a mixture of that. But I think I already knew that there was something in me that I really burned for. But it wasn't until I was face to face with God again, my designer, where he gave me language and gave me vision for what that really was. What he really desired of me. But it was, I feel like in a very pivotal moment of my life, whether it was a low moment or a high moment. And I think that a lot of us have these epiphanies and revelations when we're in a low moment or a high moment. Like it's, that's when our emotions are high and we're usually, our hearts are tender and our hands are open to receive. So I think that's when I got language for my purpose,
Yeah.
or at least started the journey
Okay.
to decoding my purpose. And that's the other thing too. I personally believe that we don't just get it right then and there. I think that like us figuring out our purpose is figuring it out. Like I think it's a process. I do believe, on the other hand, that calling can come quite spontaneously. I think that can come pretty quickly. The reason I
Sure.
think that is, again, when I look at the Bible, when I read the Bible, and I see the men and women that God called, it
Yeah.
was usually a moment where it was like, boom, you're gonna do
Yeah.
this. You're called to this. I feel like, the image and the story
Yeah.
that comes to me first is Moses, that burning bush moment,
Yeah.
of like, you're gonna do this. Like, this is your calling. This is what I want you to do. So I do think that calling can sometimes come a little bit
Sure.
more like boom on you. But I do believe that sometimes purpose can be it's a journey of like, okay, like what really is that, and unpacking like your identity and why you're
Yeah.
here, and that your whole being is to be with someone and people. And I think sometimes that takes time
Sure.
to unravel.
Yeah.
So on the inverse of that, okay, so calling. When did you feel like you found your calling? And yeah, that whole process, how did that look like for you?
That's a journey. It's a trip, I think.
Do you feel like, let me ask a question here. Do you feel like that was more of a journey than finding your purpose?
Yeah.
Interesting.
100%. I felt so certain about my purpose.
Okay, cool.
I felt I could tell you exactly what I was doing when I had that moment with God. When I was battling and like figuring out my purpose.
Yeah.
My calling, I think my calling, I feel like, my personal opinion, you could be called to do many things.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And I feel like I'm consistently,
I already know what you're going to say.
it's because it's like I know what I know. But then
That's a bar right there.
but I'm also consistently challenged because this sounds bad. It sounds like not,
Just say it. Just
if
say
you
it.
know me, please know my heart. But like, I'm so good at so many things. I battle with figuring out which one I'm called into.
But that's a good point, because there's probably people watching or listening who feel the same way.
I
this might be
feel
very
like
helpful.
this is where I struggle most. I know I'm called to love people and love them well, the best that I could. I know that.
Yeah.
I know that is what God wants me to do,
Yeah.
is to always love the way Jesus would love. I mean,
Yeah.
as best as I could, as close to Jesus, right? Because it'll never be me. But as close as possible, to always show love, to always, like, that is, I know that I'm called to love people.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's my favorite thing to do is to love people and love them well, or try my best, right? I'm only human. I have flaws. But then there are, I think within that, it's like what do you call those diagrams? The
Like
ones,
a Venn
the box-
diagram?
Not a Venn, but the little box, and then like the tree.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A
Like
tree?
a tree. Yeah.
I feel like within that,
Yeah.
I have like so many other things, right?
Yeah.
So I know I'm called to love God, and I know that I'm wired to worship. Like, that is a non-negotiable. Both of these two things, I will always, forever, no matter the price, the cost, or where I am, will always worship. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, does not matter. And loving people too, it's comes easy for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's instinct almost, or just, I don't know, it's in me. That's the way I'm wired.
Yeah.
And within that, I feel like I have different facets of like how to
Yeah.
do these things. And sometimes I battle with like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this what I'm supposed to do? And sometimes I know that they are things I'm called to do. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think I struggle because I can do a lot of things well. And it's like figuring out those things. But something that you said, which is something I've always said, I think, is that your dreams and desires aren't your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yes, some of them. But like,
Yeah.
like dreams of like hope and things.
Yeah.
I feel like God gives you those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to be a doctor. That's God, because not everybody has that.
Yeah.
100%, you know?
Yeah.
Like you want to be a teacher. Not everybody has that. Like that
Yeah.
dream, desire to do those, like God gave you that. You know, you have dreams of having a family, like God gave you that too. And so I think in those of like calling, you can be called to do a lot of different things or multiple different things at different times of your life.
Yeah.
At
That's the
different
other thing.
seasons and
Yeah,
different places
different
of your
seasons.
life.
Yep.
And there are some, and then there are some things that are like core callings,
Mm.
like loving people, worshiping God.
Yeah.
And for me, those are core, will never change, will
Yeah,
do for
yeah.
the rest of my life
Yeah.
until I'm 6 feet
Yeah.
deep. But there are other things, like
Mm-hmm.
other smaller things that I feel like you can be called to do,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think that's where like purpose and calling are different, is exactly that. I think like your purpose stays the same throughout your whole life.
Yeah.
But your calling is the one that's constantly kind of shifting and changing.
Yeah.
Because there are different iterations of that purpose, like you were
Yeah.
saying. And yeah, like I think a lot of us, I think what you said, I think is a lot of us, because I think
Yeah.
a lot of us, I think all of us are good at doing a lot of different things. And what is hard is trying to find the one thing
Yeah.
that we're like, I'm
Yeah.
really locked in
The
on
one
that.
lane.
But again, I think that's calling, because
Yeah.
again, the purpose stays the same. And as a matter of fact, when you're in your purpose, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You just are.
You just are.
Right. So I think that, again, I think in society, what has made this question so hard is that we misconstrue and swap the two, because calling is what's ever changing.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe people have the same calling their whole life, and that's what, and praise God. Awesome. Lucky you.
Think
But the majority of
both things can be
people,
true.
Huh?
I think both things
yeah,
can be true.
but I think the majority of people, it's usually not like that. There's
Sure.
people who, again, you might be locked into that calling for the rest of your life, but purpose is the thing that doesn't shift. I think that is, and it's who you are. It's hardwired. But the calling is a different facet that shift. And I like it, you said it too, with different seasons. Like I definitely agree and relate to that, because I think I've seen that a lot in these past like 10 years of my life.
Sure.
Where I feel like, again, my callings, quote unquote, visibly look very different now.
Yeah.
Very different. Because I thought that my calling was to be some artist and tour the country and the world and make music and be XYZ. But now I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
And it's like, does that change?
I still pray.
Yeah.
I still
Right.
pray to be a rock star's wife.
But, but does
It's a
that
dream.
change? It is a dream. But does that change that season of my life, and does it throw it away and say it's not valid and doesn't, no, it's just, that's not where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
There was a season where I was doing something close to that. There was a season where I was doing music and that was my thing.
Yeah.
But now I'm not, but I kind of am. And then again, that's like where they connect. Like I am a worship pastor.
Yeah.
I'm still doing music,
They're
but it's
different.
not.
It's a different capacity.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like what I wanted to
Yeah.
do. Does that mean that I'm never going to do it again? Probably not. Maybe, or probably. I don't know.
We don't know.
We never know. Like I might go back in a year or two to
Yeah.
doing music full time, or I may never touch music again. People, those of you who follow me and are fans of me, always roast me. I'm out here and I haven't dropped a song in months and years, and I procrastinate. And it's like, it's like, am I going to do it or not? Although I am dropping, shameless plug here. My latest and next single off the album dropping the 19th, Friday 19th. Go check it out. Samo Music.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I'm
you
in
guys you're not in that one.
Oh,
That's Spinning Out. That's the other one.
never mind. Don't go check it out.
Go check it out.
Don't go look at
The
it.
next one
That's
will be the
hateful.
one that has Xiaomi in it.
No,
Anyway,
no, it's not gonna be good. If I'm not in it, it's not good.
but again, it's like
Dang,
I'm not doing that right now. I'm doing something different, but there's still one and the same. It's still music, right? It's still creative, but now I'm doing a different facet that I was doing, which was again like pastoring and caring for people. I did when I was doing music. I wasn't doing that much of that because I was focused on music, and now I'm doing that. So it's like the interchange.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what's going to happen in a year or two. But at the end of the day, like our calling is always going to be loosely related to our purpose, but ever changing, because again, we're
Yeah.
multifaceted people,
Yeah.
and our people with different talents and gifts. And if you're listening and watching this, I just want to encourage you in that, but like, you are meant to do so many different things, not just one thing,
Yeah.
and there are gifts on your life, that are there for a reason, and,
Yeah.
and don't box yourself in and think
Yeah.
that you're only doing one thing, or,
Mhm.
or only will do one thing. And don't box God in and thinking that that's all you're going to do with your life.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised to see where God will take
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
So again, I think that's the beauty of the calling
Mhm.
thing,
Mhm.
is that that does change. And I
Yeah.
think that's what makes our purpose not feel so stagnant,
Yeah.
and feel so boring and so monotone, is that the calling may shift. Again, I may be an artist tomorrow. I may not.
Yeah.
I may be a worship pastor today. Who knows? You may be, again, a teacher one day. Maybe you'll be something completely different, but you'll
Yeah.
still be teaching and giving people value with knowledge.
Yeah.
Like it's all the same, yet so different. I think that's the beauty of this conversation. With that being said, though, I think that does bring that that side of the conversation. I think it brings that into a new light, though, of like the whole, how do you know what it is that is your one, like that one thing? How do you know that one thing? How do you pinpoint it? Do you ever pinpoint it? Is it something that we ever really like settle on, of like, this is it and that's all I'm doing? Do you feel like, because I think this is interesting for you, because I can think about multiple things. One, music. You love music. Obviously, you love doing worship. You're a worshiper. You love coffee. You love people. You love cameras and artwork and writing, all these things. So like, how do you, and again, those of you listening and watching, insert yourself in this question, ask yourself this question. Like, which one is the one that you feel like is it, if there is one? Do you have like a certain call to one, or is it just all there?
So I've never thought of this,
Mm-hmm.
but as you were talking, this is the only thing I could think.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like, is there probably more to unpack? Sure, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I know for certain, for the rest of my life, I'm going to love people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all of the things that you say that I do and do well are just different ways of loving different people.
Dang. That's so good.
I always, you know this,
That's
I
really
always
good.
want to learn different things, because
Yeah.
different people in my life have different interests, and I
Yes.
want to love them well in the
Mhm.
things that they love.
You want to have a wider net
Correct.
for people. Yep.
So I love coffee. It
Wow.
reaches a certain target. I
Yeah.
love music. It reaches as different people.
Mm-hmm.
I love cooking.
Clothing.
It reaches different people.
Mm-hmm.
I love drawing and art and photography. It just reaches different people.
Yeah.
And it, for me, creates different ways to love people when it's like, I'm trying to think. It's like, I'm trying to think of an example so that I can give you an example. It's like you send me recipes all the time. all the time. So many bookmarked recipes. And I always try to make them
Yeah.
either that day or at some point.
Yeah.
And I know that when I make them, you feel seen.
Mm.
Like, oh, she really did something that I told her looked
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
You didn't particularly be like, make this for me.
Yeah,
You're just sending me things because it looks good.
But you validated it.
But I'm like, okay, it looks good. Like, here, let me
Yeah.
show you. Like, I'm going to take the time and I'm going to take the effort
Yeah,
to learn
yeah.
this thing so that and at least this is how it works in my head.
Yeah,
okay?
that's
I
how
could be
you-
wrong,
yeah,
but like,
mhm.
let me show you that I'm
Mm.
listening to the things that you're saying.
Mm.
And everyone's different.
Wow.
Everyone's different. You know, I learned painting for a different reason, for a different friendship, relationship, like for a different time in
It's
my
kind of
life.
like the whole camera. Like I always think of like the cameras. All like if you guys don't know, Xiaomi collects so many cameras, has so many.
I do.
But you always give them away,
I do.
and you always give them to people. I remember when we were in Dallas leading a youth ministry out there. it was like, you know, a whole bunch of skater kids, and like we would just skate in the park. And you know, if you're familiar with skate culture, like getting clips, like that's all we do, right? That's all we want to do. We want to get sponsored, all that stuff. It's just part of the culture. And we had a whole bunch of these kids who, you know, were good, loved this thing, and but they didn't have cameras or ways to do it. And you would just, you know, you lived right across, so you'd go home, we'd get all your cameras and just give them to the kids and say, just go shoot stuff and come back and like show us or post it. And it's like, it's that, like, I think that, I love that you're saying that, because I think that just makes it so much deeper. Like, again, it's what you said. It's you're widening your net so that you can interact with more people and love on more people in the language that they understand.
Correct.
And again, that is your purpose, but it shifts because it, right? Quote unquote, her calling could be as a wife to me looks different as a friend to somebody else.
Right. As
a sister, as a daughter, as a, you know, whoever, mentor to someone. And I think that you're hitting it on perfectly. It's like, it's just like the different facets are for different people. I think I said this in our last podcast, that like you are a key to a lock in someone's life that only you can unlock, right? Time. So it's like, it's the same idea.
Yeah.
And I do believe, you know, as we're talking about this, that I think that to help answer the question, for you to find what your calling and purpose is, pay attention to those things. Like the things that you do, like Xiaomi, that is like things that you just love doing and offer to people and give to people. And it's like, it's just second nature to you. Because I'll be honest, like, we're selfish people. We're human beings. We don't like giving. It's not in our nature to give. It's not in our nature to share.
Yeah.
All right. So if you find something that you're like, man, I love teaching people about this thing, or I love working with people on projects and helping them build projects, or I love, again, cameras, photography, and I love giving kids cameras. Oh, I love art. I teach kids art. You know, things like that. It's like, I'm pretty sure you're on to something there. Yeah. Like that's probably what you're called to do or feel is a part of your purpose. So I love that you said that, because it hits the multifaceted concept and the principle that I really, really subscribe to. Like I really do. And the reason I do is because, again, I think we've said this in other podcasts too, but like, you know, God is a multifaceted God. Like he is creation and creativity incarnate. And I mean, we are mini creators.
Yeah.
Right? Like we are meant to create.
Yeah.
And it, again, and we talked about this, but I don't know if we did the podcast on it yet about creativity, not to go too deep into it, but again, like we're all creators. And it's not the typical version of creativity of being an artist and music. Like creativity is problem solving, creating plans, organizing, communicating. It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
But what we easily create out of, I think, is part of our calling.
Yeah.
What we do that is second nature. What we do that we love and don't need people to pay us or validate us or see us. Like it just is. It just comes from you. I think is part of that. And I believe that whole multifaceted concept goes to the whole Imago Dei that I think we talked about the other day of like, you know, we're all in the image of God, and your facet and image of God is unique to you. And once you're not here anymore, once you're gone, it is gone.
Yeah.
Which is why every second counts. Shout out to the bear. But every second, every moment, and why your life has value.
Yeah. Why
your life has value.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason why I feel like purpose and calling is so important is that that's what gives our life value.
Yeah.
And I would go as far to say that if you're someone who's struggling with trying to find your value, I would say don't look for your value somewhere else.
Yeah.
But ask yourself where your value comes from.
That's good.
And start there. Because you shared it a little bit. I kind of talked about it a little bit, kind of foreshadowed it, whatever. But yeah, like when we were in our low points, those are moments where I think we were questioning our value. We've been open about this with our mental health. And when we were struggling with suicidal ideation and things like that, and if you're listening to this and you struggle with that as well, or you know, whatever, you know, when you're asking like, why am I here? Is it even worth it? Like, do I matter? I think that the majority of people that we have conversations with, there's a common denominator, and it's
Yeah.
they don't really know their purpose or calling yet,
Yeah.
or they're figuring it out. And because of that, I think they're so easy to just say, well, then screw me and screw
Yeah.
my life. Like it has no purpose, no value. But I think that if we really make our life about the journey and not the destination of it, of just the doing and the human being part,
Yeah.
I think that questions and thoughts and doubts that you have about your worth start to go to the wayside, because you're in a constant kind of like journey and process of pushing past all those negative thoughts and that narrative to find the real narrative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like when you're working towards something, then it's hard for you to not do anything, right? Because you're doing it.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you're not actively doing anything, it's easy for your mind to go a billion places. But
Yeah.
when you're like, you know what, I'm going to really try my best to find this thing out
Yeah.
and see where I lie in this big, big world of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I think it makes it hard for you to look at yourself as useless and without value.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would kind of just throw that in for any of you guys who maybe are struggling with that. I would encourage you to look deep into your value through your purpose and calling,
Yeah.
and try to find that
Yeah.
there. Do you believe that this is interesting? I'm trying to see how deep I want to go here, but so calling changes,
Okay.
right? Every now and then, it's facets of it. Purpose is not. It's kind of ever constant, right?
Yeah.
How would you respond to people who are saying, I don't think I have a purpose, or I don't have a calling, and people who are more, are just a little bit more like on the
I don't
side
have,
of
or
like,
I don't know.
Hmm.
Which one? What am I answering?
I don't have.
I
We'll
don't
start
have.
there. How would you respond to someone who's maybe listening
Hmm.
to this or watching this and saying, that's all great, but I don't think I have a purpose. I think I'm just here just to be here. I'm just passing through.
That's a hard question. I think if it's a hard question. I don't want to say something. I think if you're struggling, first of all, I want to tell you that it's okay
Mm-hmm.
that you feel this way. I have been there many times.
Oh yeah.
And not just as a young person, like
Yeah.
even sometimes now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm only a human.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you it's okay to feel this way.
Yeah.
And if you think that, like, you know, I think this is my response.
Yeah.
I think yours would be very different. But for me, it's like, you know, you don't think you have a purpose. That's okay. Like, there's a lot of pressure. And I think in life and trying to figure out, like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And you can
Yeah.
feel like you have this need. And sometimes, I want to say, like, sometimes, like, in a season of your life, your purpose is to just be loved by others.
Mm.
That's what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to go back to, like, I think a lot of people who feel like they have no purpose don't have people in their lives who, I don't know how to say it. I don't know the words I'm looking for, but I feel like who you're surrounded with
Yeah.
help you find a place.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people who don't feel like have a purpose feel misplaced.
Mm.
and feel like they have nowhere to belong
Mm.
and they have no one around them. And I think if you're feeling this way, you're feeling like, I don't have a purpose, I'm just here. I wake up, I do the same things. But you do the same things, but you have passions and you have desires and things you want to accomplish and places you want to go and, you know, things you want to see and experience. And I think exploring those things that you desire and dream of can bring you to a place of figuring out, what is my purpose? Because of all those things that you're going to see and look for and explore, you're going to find something that just like clicks with you. Something that just connects with you right away. Something that just hits. And I'm not saying that that's what's going to be your purpose, but it's going to inspire different things in you. It's going to breed different things in you. It's going to awaken different things in you. It's going to open up avenues that you'd never crossed. And I think for people who feel like they have no purpose, I think my one, I guess, would be is like, go take risks. Go do things.
Yeah.
And maybe you're not comfortable with that. Maybe you feel whatever. I just think like, go take risks.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just get your ball rolling, your soul living. Like it'll get you, I feel like sometimes when I'm in those spaces, it's because I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I can't move. And so I need to start making decision and changing things about my life and making adjustments so that I can realign into the life and realign into like my desires and things I know that I love and passions and dreams and maybe things I haven't tried, but I have to readjust some things in my life. And I think if you feel like you have no purpose, like try new things.
Yeah. Again, we don't want to sound like a broken record either, but like we always go back to community. And I think, again, it's because it's just the answer to so many different questions. But I agree. I think majority of people that I know, including myself, who struggled with like, do I even have any purpose? Like, do I have anything? I wasn't around or surrounded by people who were constantly telling me or speaking that into me, like life into me. And I think that when you're in an environment where people aren't dreaming, aren't, don't have that wonder, don't have that,
wonder.
Yeah. It's just like that spirit of just adventure and life and of movement, then you're going to be stagnant.
Yeah.
And when you're stagnant and when there are people that are not speaking life into you and encouraging you to take risks, like Sumi said, it's easy for you to fall into a rut where you just feel like, well, what is all this for? I mean, I was literally on a call with someone recently. I was really struggling and saying, like, I don't know, like, what my next step is. I don't know my purpose or calling anymore. Like, I don't know where I'm going, what to do. And I'm just like, the first thing I said was, get around people that do. Get around people that do. Not people that have it all together. I would actually say run from those people because they're lying. Get around people who are figuring it out.
Yeah.
And as we say, thanks to the Don, Vincent Holland, get around people who are imperfectly executing on life. It will really easily change your mindset.
Yeah.
And you'll begin to really see, man, like, there is so much more to this that I'm missing out on. There's so much more that I have access to that I think, again, those things change our perspective. When it comes to, trying to find your calling and stuff, those who are listening who are like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. I would also say you have time. There's so much time. I think we live in a society of fear mongering that says you don't have time. That's a load of crap. Like, you have so much time.
Yeah.
You have so much time to mess up and try new things and take risks. If you're listening to this and you're within your 20s, like, all you have is time.
Yeah.
Even those of you who have kids and families, like,
Yeah.
we're young. You're young. I even hear it from people who are in their 40s, who the people are saying that the 40s are the new 20s, you know? So wherever you lie on that, you know, your
Yeah.
opinion and all that, but I do think that there's a lot of time. I do think that you have time, and take advantage of
Yeah.
the time. Try it out. Get around people who know, not necessarily know what they're doing or trying to do something or have a goal,
Yeah.
because those people will, they'll really inspire you,
Yeah.
and they will give you
Yeah.
a fresh wind, a second wind. And then the last thing I would say, kind of like to wrap things up and to leave on an encouraging note, is at the end of the day, again, whether you subscribe to this or not, whether you believe in this or not, this is always a net positive. I said this last podcast. I'm going to keep saying it, because I really believe in sharing the truth. So I'm going to share the truth and say that if you're listening to this, no matter where you are in any of that, you do have value. You do have purpose.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, God created you for a reason.
That's right.
And that reason is to, quite honestly, find him.
Yeah.
And the good news is he found you first. So you don't really have to look too hard.
Yeah.
But when you do find him, your life is just to be with him.
Yeah.
It's to delight in him and for him to delight in you. And I think that once you realize that, everything else kind of loses its luster. Finding that career, getting in that relationship, being in that tax bracket looks a lot less attractive. Not that they're wrong. They are good. Find that person.
Yeah.
Find that job. Yeah, absolutely. But it takes you away from the rat race.
Yeah.
And I think that the rat race that is Western society is their number one killer of purpose and calling. It's the number one killer of, like, trying to figure that out. So, you know, I would just say, before you look outwardly, look inwardly. There's, I think, something I wrote last night as I was thinking about this that I think really ties this together. I get a lot of my thoughts at night.
Don't I know it?
But yeah, it's stop looking downward and outward and start looking upward and inward.
It's good.
If you want to see your purpose and calling come to life, if you want to see your value, if you want to really go back to your design, go back to what you were intended, created for, it's stop looking downward and outward. Stop looking downward in terms of stop looking at your situation and what's going on and the very valid emotions and everything you feel, and stop looking outwardly to everyone else and start looking upward to the one that designed you, created you in the first place, gave you purpose, gave you calling, and inwardly to see how that makes you come alive. And how you'll realize that once you fall in love with that, you'll really start to fall in love with people.
Yeah.
You'll fall in love with serving people and being a part of the tapestry and the canvas that is this world, that is humanity, that is broken, messed up, imperfect, but bears the image of God. And that image of God, that mosaic, is you and me. And there's no rush. There's no right or wrong way of doing any of this. It is just to be, as corny as it sounds, that saying, a human being, not a human doing. And just be, just live.
Yeah.
And allow the journey and allow your process to be what gives you
Yeah.
the satisfaction and not doing it. So anyway, those are kind of our closing thoughts on that. At the end of the day, again, we're not experts. We're not out here speaking as if we got it all together. We're still figuring things out. Like,
Yeah.
you know, again,
100%.
our calling is constantly changing.
Yeah.
We're still trying to go back to our purpose, because that's the
Yeah.
other thing. You can know your purpose, but then
Yeah.
forget it or stray from it. So we constantly are trying to go back to our purpose and
Redirect.
remind
Yeah.
ourselves and redirect. So, you know, with that being said, we hope that this was of value to you.
Yeah.
That it blessed you. Hopefully
Yeah.
it gave you some encouragement, some hope. Hopefully it reminded you that you're right where you need to be, shouting out our last
Hey.
podcast, and that you're not the only one dealing with all this stuff. But yeah, anyway, so hit us with the outro.
Yeah. Shout out to our special guest.
Yeah, these
Today.
dogs, if you guys didn't see them,
Dogs.
Ran over here and Austin over there.
Awesome.
They were bugging.
There you could hear the pitter patter.
The pitter patter in
Thank you.
the fights that they have.
Yeah. Anyways,
Hit it.
have fun.
Have fun.
Live your best life.
Live your best life.
Go get coffee with friends.
And go get coffee with friends. We love you guys. See you on episode 10.
Let's go.
Take it easy.